Our film falls into the genre of comedy. Our film is a social comedy, which means that it draws on class conflict or social realism, which is conveyed through the relationship of Harry and Terrance, as Harry is a very annoying character, and the audience can understand why Terrance would be annoyed at him. We use two main forms of comedy in our film: the gag, which relies on visual, oral, verbal jokes, carefully timed and delivered for maximum impact, or the comical situation, a narrative comedy, in which it is the developing relationships between characters and the social environment that causes us to change. The conventions of a short film are that they are short, usually about 5 to 6 minutes. They take an everyday situation and twist it around, and they tend to follow a traditional storyline of bounce, then a problem, and finishing with the problem being resolved. We challenged the convention of a twist because we felt that it wasn't necessary for our film, as the story made sense without having anything complicated. Also, since it was a comedy, our film was a lot better with a simple storyline that everyone could understand. Our film uses the convention of an everyday situation, because Terrance gets up and goes to college, just like he would every other day. This is conveyed through our use of the morning scene, as it shows that Terrance has a clearly established routine that he follows. We followed a traditional storyline because we felt that simplicity was better for our film. If we had a simplistic storyline, we could do a lot more with it and establish more comedy into our film. The way we edited our film was to make a lot of blunt cuts in it, so that it mirrored how quickly Terrance's mood changes. However, we juxtaposed this with the font and music we used. By giving a cursive font, it gave the audience the connotations that this film was going to be artistic and sophisticated. Paired with the classical music, it gave the audience the impression that this film was going to be quite a serious short film, whereas instead it was a comedy. Almost a parody of other short films. Music contrasted well with the humour and softens the violence, specifically in the shot with the credits rolling. Our sound choices did help to soften the violence and make it more comedic. For example, Harry makes a certain whining noise when Terrance is hitting him with the folder. This usually made the audience laugh. At first our story was going to be set in an office, and he was going to throw a paperweight. However, this changed when we realised that we didn't have access to the things we needed. For example, we didn't have access to actors that looked old enough to have an office job. So we changed the setting to the college, and so the actors looked the right age. We also realised that a paperweight wouldn't be present in a college, so we used a folder instead, as this is something the students would carry with them. We used minimal dialogue in our film because we thought it suited the film more, and the only speech we used was from Harry. We gave his character the most lines, so he could fully express how annoying the character actually is. However, whilst there is little dialogue in the film, we attempted to make the film as clear and unambiguous as possible, so that the audience could focus more on the visual humour than the story, because they gave a wide space where we could actually pull off the scene where Terrance hits Harry. We used mise-en-scène in our film to establish the personalities of our characters. The characters' costumes reflect their moods and their attitudes. For example, a large portion of the film has Terrance dressed darkly, to imply a negative tone to the character. Along with this, mise-en-shot was a crucial element to the film. We tried to keep the characters out of the centre of the shot. This was done so that the film would not look awkward or confusing to the audience. We did not use a voiceover for the character, as we tried to rely on the actor of Terrance to project the mood of the character. We also used the spoken dialogue between Harry and Terrance to explain to the audience why the character of Harry is so repulsive to Terrance. Finally, our narrative structure was based around other films. The first scene is based around the waking up sequence that usually appears in student films. The sequence in the middle of the film is sort of an ellipsis that cuts a long period of time into a minute. The narrative is based around a standard structure where the inciting moment is Harry's conversation with Terrance. This goes on to be resolved through Terrance's use of violence.